Yunnan province in China is experiencing one of the most severe natural disasters in recent years, as continuous heavy rainfall has caused a catastrophic dam collapse. Plunging the entire region into chaos. This dam failure, fueled by record-breaking rainfall over the past decade, combined with lingering remnants of Super Typhoon Kajaki and a powerful monsoonal convergence, unleashed raging torrents across the landscape. Roads were submerged, transportation paralyzed, and mass evacuations became unavoidable. Critical infrastructure was overwhelmed by the surge, leaving communities immobilized and exposing serious vulnerabilities in Yunnan's flood defense systems. Hourly rainfall in some areas reached staggering levels. Chaoyang District recorded 68.2 mm in just 60 minutes, while other urban centers experienced equally intense downpours. The Yunnan Meteorological Bureau issued a blue rainstorm alert early in the morning, signaling urgent danger. The relentless rain turned highways into rivers, inundated residential areas, and disrupted subway systems. Despite recent sponge city upgrades, drainage and culverts were quickly overwhelmed, leaving the province struggling to manage the deluge. Authorities ordered evacuations in vulnerable valleys and low-lying areas, particularly where landslides and flash floods were most likely. Emergency teams from fire, health, and transport divisions rushed to assist residents and mitigate hazards. Throughout the night, crews worked tirelessly to clear flooded streets, evacuate households, and monitor mudslide-prone slopes. At the same time, citizens were warned to avoid underpasses, submerged roads, and floodwaters that carried hidden dangers. Yunnan's transportation networks came to an almost complete standstill. Flights faced severe delays, and portions of the subway system were forced to suspend service due to inundated tunnels. Within the province, over 10,000 people were evacuated, with further displacements in surrounding provinces. This event highlighted the fragility of infrastructure when confronted with rapidly intensifying extreme weather. Beyond Yunnan, the storm system spread across central and southwestern China. In Guizhou and Sichuan provinces, more than 25 rivers exceeded safe levels, shattering historic flood records that had stood for decades. The Qiqi River in Guizhou rose to its highest point since 1953, while Sichuan's Shawa River reached a level not seen in 29 years. State media reported that over 80,000 people had been relocated across the two provinces. Officials warned of ongoing dangers, including levee breaches, stressed dams, and additional river overflows. This unusual event was linked to monsoonal moisture, typhoon remnants, and the broader backdrop of intensifying climate extremes. Meteorologists cautioned that convergent weather zones, where tropical moisture collides with inland systems, are likely to strengthen under warming conditions. These zones pose growing threats to inland cities not accustomed to tropical force rains. The floods arrived immediately after a prolonged and suffocating heat wave, straining already overextended emergency response units. Public health agencies also issued warnings about potential food and water contamination in affected areas.
太危险了，刚刚还有一台货车硬开过去，害大家摩托车都倒了。
Residents were instructed to boil water before use, avoid direct contact with floodwaters, and report any symptoms of illness. High post-rainfall humidity and soaring temperatures are expected to increase the risk of waterborne diseases. Forecasts predict rainfall will continue through August 29th. Authorities remain vigilant for secondary flooding, particularly in rural and hillside areas where runoff could rapidly trigger fresh landslides or flash flood incidents.
嘅威力啊嗱！哇！你見唔見到嘅啊？
Residents were advised to closely follow bulletins from the Yunnan Meteorological Bureau as well as local emergency announcements. Provincial leaders pledged sustained rescue efforts and live updates throughout the unfolding disaster. The flooding in Yunnan forms part of a larger chain of weather crises striking China this summer. Cities from Guangzhou to Chongqing are bracing for additional rainfall, highlighting urban struggles against climate-driven extremes. As Yunnan reels from one of its most destructive floods in decades, images of submerged neighborhoods, broken dams, and displaced families reveal how exposed even well-resourced regions remain in the face of extreme natural events. Thank you for watching Extreme Weather, where we analyze the most intense moments of nature. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. Your support keeps the channel running. Hit the notification bell so you won't miss accurate, calm, and clear updates. Please note that some footage in this video may be illustrative and may not precisely reflect the events described. See you in the next video. Stay informed and stay safe. ChatGPT có thể mắc lỗi, hãy kiểm tra các thông
嘅威力啊嗱！哇！你見唔見到嘅啊？
At 12:37 a.m., Typhoon Podol made its second landfall in the coastal city of Zhengzhou, Fujian Province, in southeastern China during the early hours of Thursday morning. According to meteorological data, Podol entered with sustained winds exceeding 100 km/h, approximately 62 mm, accompanied by heavy rainfall and violent sea waves. Although Podol had been downgraded from a strong typhoon to a severe tropical storm before reaching Fujian, the system still retained enough strength to disrupt daily life across a wide area in southern China. Chinese meteorological agencies confirmed that Podol initially weakened while passing over the South China Sea, but later regained strength upon entering the Taiwan Strait. The second landfall occurred in Zhengzhou at dawn on August 14th, when rising waves and heavy rain quickly spread inland. By midday, the storm began to weaken, gradually turning into a tropical depression. Even as the wind subsided, Podol carried a very large amount of moisture, keeping the risk of flooding high. Weather forecasters noted that Podol was part of a larger monsoon pattern this season, which had caused several consecutive heavy rainfall events in southern Chinese provinces. Accumulated rainfall in some areas of Fujian, Guangdong, and Guangxi was expected to exceed 150 mm, nearly 6 inches, within less than 24 hours, putting pressure on local drainage systems and river networks. Fujian, Guangdong, Guangxi, Hunan, and Guizhou provinces all reported varying degrees of impact. Coastal towns in Fujian saw low-lying streets submerged, and emergency rescue forces were deployed to reinforce levees and drainage systems. In Guangdong and Guangxi, authorities warned mountain communities about the risk of landslides, especially after several consecutive weeks of heavy rain. Inland provinces like Hunan and Guizhou also experienced widespread heavy rainfall, disrupting agriculture and threatening crops already weakened by previous storms. Rural residents were advised to secure livestock and avoid going to the fields until weather conditions improved. Podla also had a significant impact on transportation networks. Over 130 flights were canceled, including major airlines such as China Eastern Airlines, China Southern Airlines, and Air China. Passengers at airports in Fujian and Guangdong reported long delays and crowded terminals as airlines adjusted schedules. Rail services were also affected. Some high-speed rail sections in Fujian and neighboring provinces temporarily reduced operational speed to ensure safety and manage water on the tracks. Highway traffic slowed considerably, with authorities warning about dangerous driving conditions due to poor visibility and flooded roads. Local governments in Fujian and Hong Kong announced school closures in response to the heavy rainfall. This measure aimed to ensure student safety and reduce travel during hazardous weather conditions. Public events, including international conference and large meetings, were postponed or shifted online. Emergency shelters were opened in Fujian, Guangdong, and Guangxi to accommodate residents living in flooded areas. Local authorities also distributed bottled water, food supplies, and medical kits to prepare for possible prolonged disruptions. In Hong Kong, the Meteorological Service issued warnings for heavy rainfall and strong winds. Schools, offices, and public facilities were temporarily closed, while transport operators reported delays due to water accumulation on main roads and railways. The city's international airport implemented emergency procedures to handle flight cancellations and passenger congestion. Authorities warned that communities near hillsides and rivers were at highest risk, advising residents to stay indoors and avoid unnecessary travel. Public messages emphasized caution. Although the storm was weakening, the threat of landslides and flash floods remained high. By the end of Thursday, Podla had weakened into a tropical depression as it moved further inland in China. Meteorologists confirmed that wind speeds had decreased, but rainfall continued to increase. River systems in Fujian and Guangdong were close to maximum capacity, with officials closely monitoring water levels to prevent overflow. Local disaster management teams emphasized that significant danger often arises after strong winds have passed. When heavy rain persists and the ground is saturated, the risk of secondary disasters such as landslides rises, especially in Hunan and Guizhou. Riverside villages prepared sandbags and temporary barriers to mitigate flooding. The Chinese government urged provincial leaders to maintain a high state of readiness until the storm system fully dissipated. Emergency response units were deployed to vulnerable areas, and the Ministry of Transport advised the public to avoid unnecessary travel until weather conditions stabilized. Meteorological agencies reminded residents that Podla served as an important warning about preparedness during the Pacific typhoon season and advised closely monitoring forecasts, as additional storms could appear in the coming weeks. The second landfall of Typhoon Podla in Jingzhou, Fujian, brought strong winds, heavy rain, and significant disruption across southern China. Although the storm has now weakened into a tropical depression, its lingering effects remain, including the risk of flooding, transportation disruption, and school closures. Fujian, Guangdong, Guangxi, Hunan, and Guizhou provinces remain on high alert as local authorities address the aftermath. With over 130 flights canceled, numerous schools closed, and emergency shelters established. Podal's impact has extended across both coastal and inland areas. Authorities emphasize that while the direct wind threat has diminished, the dangers of flooding and landslides remain high, and residents are advised to stay vigilant, follow guidance, and prioritize safety until conditions fully improve.
The world changing, disasters are no longer rare, they are reality. You cannot predict the next earthquake, flood, or wildfire, but you can choose how ready you are. This channel isn't just here to inform, it's here to wake people up before it's too late. So if you're watching this now, take it as a sign. Don't just scroll, don't just watch. Subscribe, learn, and prepare, because awareness isn't fear, it's power.